Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the wild and wacky world of science, where some experiments are so strange, you have to wonder what the researchers were thinking. From mind-boggling attempts to teach dolphins to speak to truly bizarre studies involving insects and roller coasters, we've got the top 10 stupidest animal-based experiments that'll leave you scratching your head. Get ready to laugh, cringe, and be amazed. Let's jump into number 10. Scientists can be a quirky group of folks, especially regarding animals. Scientists have used animals in a variety of strange and fascinating studies throughout history, some of which have yielded unexpectedly beneficial findings. For instance, giving a monkey a robotic arm would completely change prosthetic limb technology. Vibrating earthworms on a loudspeaker could inspire a novel kind of neurotechnology. Moreover, experiments like adding an artificial tail to a chicken and feeding helium to an alligator have helped us learn more about the dinosaurs. Occasionally, scientists have chosen to carry out absurd experiments that serve no actual purpose, like swallowing a shrew or giving LSD to a spider. Nevertheless, these are 10 of the most ridiculous, illogical animal experiments ever carried out. The scientist who ate a shrew. Scientists have performed some pretty disgusting experiments over the years, but one of the absolute worst is the man who ate a shrew. In 1994, two strong-stomached scientists decided to find out what would happen if one of them swallowed, digested, and excreted a northern short-tailed shrew. New York anthropologists Brian D. Crandall and Peter W. Stahl took great care to prepare the shrew for consumption. According to their report, Human Digestive Effects on a Micromammalian Skeleton, the pair began by skinning and disemboweling the shrew. It was then, in their words, lightly boiled, before one of the two scientists, they don't reveal which one, swallowed the carcass without chewing. But their experiment did not stop there. The pair decided to analyze what remained of the shrew once it had been digested and excreted. However, despite an exceptionally thorough inspection, not all of the shrew's bones made it out of the other end. Among the missing body parts were one major jawbone, 4 molar teeth, much of the leg and foot, all but one of the 31 vertebrae, and a significant amount of the shrew's skull. Given that the carcass was swallowed whole, without taking a bite, the scientists were amazed by what they discovered. Any damage, they explain in their report, occurred as the remains were processed internally. Mastication undoubtedly damages bone, but the effects of this process are perhaps repeated in the acidic, churning environment of the stomach. Playing hide-and-seek with rats. Rats are often seen as filthy, loathsome creatures, but it turns out they have a childish side too. The scurrying rodents are said to love a game of hide-and-seek, often giggling with delight when they are discovered. In 2019, a team of neuroscientists at Humboldt University in Berlin devised a way to play hide-and-seek with male adolescent rats. The researchers set up a small playroom full of boxes and shelters to hide behind. The rats quickly learned how to play the game, and began to develop strategies to better evade and locate their human opponents. During their training, the rats were not rewarded with food or water. Instead, they were tickled and given positive physical contact. But they seemed to enjoy more than just the reward. The researchers believed the rats would play hide and seek for the sheer fun of it. When they were caught, the rodents would often let out ultrasonic giggles and jump for joy, then scamper off to a different hiding place. This might sound like a silly experiment, but scientists have found that play behavior is vital for cognitive development. Magnetized cockroaches. When you think of magnets, cockroaches are probably not the first things that come to mind. But, believe it or not, the hardy insects have several strange magnetic properties. Cockroaches, like birds, navigate by sensing the Earth's magnetic field, and some scientists believe they could help improve the design of magnetic sensors. In order to learn more, researchers at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore placed a group of American cockroaches inside a magnetic field. The little creatures became magnetized in next to no time. But the effect was not permanent. Outside the field, their magnetism faded away and the cockroaches returned to their normal, non-magnetized selves. But the scientists noticed something unusual. They found that the time taken for the cockroach's magnetism to decay varied by as much as 50 minutes to 50 hours. And it all depended on whether the cockroaches were alive or dead. The scientists concluded that this strange effect was caused by the different viscosities of living and dead cockroaches. Dead cockroaches take longer to demagnetize because they are much stickier than live ones. There are tiny magnetic particles nestled within the bodies of cockroaches. Typically these particles are scattered about and facing in different directions. But when a magnetic field is applied, they begin to line up. Then, when the field is removed, they return to their random orientation. This process is fairly quick in live cockroaches, around 50 minutes, because the magnetic particles are housed in a gloopy fluid, so they can move about with ease. But when the insects die, the fluid hardens up, which is why the particles can take over 2 days to return to their original orientation. So, what are these magnetic particles, and where do they come from? Sadly, scientists are still none the wiser. But this bizarre experiment has proven there is much more to cockroaches than meets the eye. Alligators on helium. What happens when an alligator inhales helium? Strange question, but a team of experimental biologists believe the answer has helped them better understand how the snapping reptiles communicate. As I'm sure you are all aware, when humans inhale helium, our voices become squeaky. The reason for this is simple. Helium gas is lighter than air, which means sound waves speed up as they travel through it. This causes the helium molecules to vibrate at frequencies much higher than air, which is what makes your voice sound like Donald Duck. Although it seems like a novelty party trick, this concept becomes far more useful when applied to alligators. Alligators are known to make loud bellowing noises to mark their territory and attract partners during mating season. But until recently, scientists have been in the dark about how these bellows are produced. To learn more, researchers from the University of Vienna put a small Chinese alligator in an airtight tank and then filled the tank with helix, a safe mix of helium and oxygen. The alligator sounded deeper in the helix tank, but later analysis confirmed that the frequency of her bellows had increased. This suggests that alligators communicate with each other like birds and humans by making the air in their vocal tracts resonate. And, by extension, perhaps dinosaurs communicated that way too. Songbirds on drugs sing free-form jazz. From Jimi Hendrix to Snoop Dogg, several musicians have performed under the influence of drugs. But what about birds? Now, thanks to biologists at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, European starlings have been heard singing free-form jazz while on opiates. In a 2020 study, a group of starlings were given a small dose of fentanyl. Fentanyl is a medical painkiller that, like morphine, induces feelings of euphoria. The scientists were curious to learn if the drugged-up birds would burst into song just for the fun of it. And they did. Shortly after the starlings had taken fentanyl, they began to sing a kind of free-form jazz, scatting away on opioids like Charlie Parker. Research suggests that flocks of starlings often sing together out of the joy of being among other birds. It is thought that the birds carry on singing alone to try to reproduce that social pleasure. It's evidence that a positive state is induced by the presence of flockmates, which stimulates song, lead author Lauren Wright has told The Times, and that birds continue to produce gregarious song because it is rewarding. Vibrating live earthworms. In 2020, two Melbourne-based scientists made headlines after using a loudspeaker to vibrate earthworms, research they claim could hold significance for neurotechnology. This seemingly bizarre experiment is a lot more scientific than it first appears. The researchers began by sedating earthworms with alcohol. They then placed them on a loudspeaker, cranked up the volume, and watched as the worms began to wobble. Using a laser, they were able to monitor what effect the speaker had on the worms. The bodies of earthworms are mostly made of water. This means that when they are shaken, they behave like droplets of water and begin to ripple. However, the vibrations from the loudspeaker produced a particular type of ripple known as a Faraday wave, named after the pioneer of electromagnetism Michael Faraday. While this might not sound remarkable, the pair believes their outlandish research could be used to develop a safe, non-invasive method to connect the human brain to a computer. Essentially, this bunch of drunken worms wobbling on top of the speaker may one day help produce a far less harmful version of Elon Musk's Neuralink. Who knows what the future holds? Chicken walks like a dinosaur. Studying dinosaurs is a difficult business, given they have been extinct for 65 million years. Studying old bones and fossils can only teach you so much, and scientists are constantly on the lookout for new ways to better understand the terrible lizards. Then in 2014, a team of scientists in Chile had a brainwave. Why not put a plunger on a chicken's bum? Chickens, like all birds, are descended from a group of dinosaurs known as the theropods, e.g. Velociraptor, T-Rex. So, by giving a chicken an artificial tail, the scientists believed they could alter its center of gravity and make it walk like a dinosaur. Remarkably, the experiment worked. A short video produced by the researchers clearly shows the chicken prowling around like a no-budget version of Jurassic Park. Monkey with a mind control robot arm. It sounds like something out of a surrealist sci-fi movie, but in 2008 scientists released footage of a monkey controlling a robotic arm with its brain. Researchers from the University of Pittsburgh designed a highly sophisticated mind-controlled arm, then taught a macaque monkey to use it to feed itself marshmallows. The monkey was able to control the arm using an advanced brain implant. Electrodes had to be inserted into the monkey's motor cortex to detect signals from the brain, which the implant translated into commands for the arm. The engineers had taken great care to make the arm's movement as realistic as possible. The prosthetic limb was given a dynamic shoulder, an elbow that only bends one way, and a claw-like hand. Following the remarkable work of the Pittsburgh researchers, scientists have gone on to build similar prosthetic limbs for humans to help paralyzed people live independently. Drugged spiders weave odd webs. NASA has performed some incredible feats over the years, but one of their weirdest moments was the time they got spiders high. In 1995, researchers were interested to learn the effects of various drugs on spider web patterns. Scientists at Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama fed spiders various toxic substances, including marijuana, caffeine, and amphetamine, then watched as they spun webs while tripping. Unsurprisingly, the arachnids exposed to the most toxic chemicals produced the most misshapen webs. The one on marijuana wove most of its web, to begin with, but lost interest around midway. In contrast, the amphetamine spider spun with a huge amount of enthusiasm but was let down by its lack of order. Its web was full of gaping holes. And the one on caffeine produced something halfway between a traditional web and a spiral mandala. The sex life of rats. Wearing different pants. If you want to be successful in romance, you have to dress sharp. That is not only true of humans but rats as well. In the 1990s, Egyptian scientist Ahmed Shafik conducted an experiment dressing rats in different kinds of pants and studying the effects on their sex lives. In total, 75 rats were made to wear pants over a year. By the end of the experiment, Shafik found that those wearing cotton or wool were significantly more likely to get lucky, whereas the ones dressed in polyester and polycotton blend often struck out. So why are the woolen panted rats such as Casanovas compared to their polyester pals? Shafik believed the polyester material created irritating electrostatic fields around the genitals, which led to a drop in sexual activity. However, American humorist Mary Roach has a different theory. Having seen an illustration of a rat wearing the pants, she wrote in her 2008 book Bonk, "I would say there's an equal possibility that it's simply harder to get a date when you dress funny." And there you have it, 10 of the most ridiculous animal-based experiments ever conducted. Science doesn't always make sense, but it sure can be entertaining. If you enjoyed this list, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more fun and curious content, and drop a comment about which experiment you found the most absurd. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.